CQ RAYNET, CQ RAYNET. This is Golf 1 November Romeo Charlie, operated today by Greg, Golf Sierra Delta Uniform Bravo, serving as net control for the RAYNET-UK weekly activity net. This net meets each Sunday afternoon at 1600 hours local time and is open to all amateur radio operators interested in emergency communications. The primary purpose of the net is to provide the opportunity for members to test equipment, exchange traffic news, opinions and information with additional information on the RAYNET-UK website at www.raynet-uk.net. This is a directed net, which means all calls are to be made to the net control station unless you are instructed otherwise, and all RAYNET-UK operators are invited and encouraged to check into the net. When you do check in, please announce your call sign slowly and phonetically, followed by your name, and if you wish to leave the net immediately after checking in, then please call in and out. Otherwise, if you want to leave after subsequent turns, please make it clear you want to check out at that time. After I've heard a few check-ins, I'll pause and repeat what I've heard. If you're not acknowledged, then please try again, and if you miss your turn to check in, I will call for strays at the end of the UK and international sections. So I'll now begin taking check-ins to the RAYNET-UK net, as always in call sign number order, starting with stations of figure 8 in their call sign. Please call now. G4 and RC, over.
Golf 8 Echo Yankee G8 EEY, name is Mike. Golf 8 Sierra Delta Uniform, name's Bob. Good afternoon, Greg, and in and out, please.
Golf 1 November Romeo Charlie, so I've got Mike, Golf 8 Echo Yankee staying with me, and Bob, Golf 8 Sierra Delta Uniform. Good afternoon to you, and copied you in and out. Any other 8s, please? G4 and RC, over. RC, then it's 7s. Stations figure 7 and their call sign, please go ahead. G4 and RC, over.
Mike 7 Victor Sierra Delta, name is Stephen, Dame Valley Group.
Golf 7 November Echo Hotel G798 Graham.
For an RC, good afternoon Stephen, Mike 7 Victor Sierra Delta and Graham, Golf 7 November Echo Hotel. Any other 7s, please? G4 and RC, over. G4 and RC, nothing heard, so let's have 6s. Stations figure 6 and their call time, please go ahead, over. For an RC, second call, any stations figure 6 and their call sign, please go ahead, over. For an RC, then it's the 5, stations figure 5 and their call sign, please go ahead, over. RC, nothing heard and not many 5s in the organisation. Let's go for 4s. Stations figure 4 in their call sign, please go ahead, over.
G4 and RC, G4 and RC, G4K UJ, Kilo Uniform Juliet, Trevor in Watford.
Golf 4 Hotel Uniform Foxtrot, G4 HUF. G4 and RC, good afternoon Trevor, Golf 4 Kilo Uniform Juliet. Got you, G4 HUF fell, saw the blip, heard the click, but didn't get any audio. Can you try again, over? This is Golf 4 Hotel Uniform Foxtrot G48UF. About that, Greg. Ref, that was much better, thanks Phil. And the other fours please, G4 and RC, over. For an RC, nothing heard, so let's have threes. Stations figure 3 in their call sign, please go ahead. G4 and RC, over. Golf 3 Zulu Hotel X-Ray, Ian. Golf 3 Victor Echo Hotel, Chris. New top points in Cornwall. In and out, and thanks for running that, Greg. G3 VEH. For an RC, good afternoon Ian, Golf 3 Zulu Hotel X-Ray staying with me, and also to Chris, Golf 3 Victor Echo Hotel, who's in and out. Any other threes please, G4 and RC, over. For an RC, then it's 2, stations figure 2 in their call sign, and that includes you intermediate 2, so please call now, G4 and RC, over. For an RC, second call, any stations figure 2 in their call sign, please call now, over. For an RC, then it's 1, stations figure 1 in their call sign, please, G4 and RC, over. RC, second call, any stations figure 1 in their call sign, please go ahead, over. G4 and RC, nothing heard, so let's have Golf, correction, Mike 0 stations of any regional secondary identifier, please, over.
M0 JSA, East Suffolk. And Mike 0 X-ray room.
G4 and RC, I clearly got Alan, Mike 0 Juliet Sierra Alpha. Chris, Mike 0 X-ray Romeo Sierra, just try again. You checked in but disappeared in a blaze of digital glory, so I'm not sure if you're staying with me or in and out, over.
M0 XRS, let's hope this one's a bit clearer. Yes, thank you Greg. It's in and out for me, please.
It's Golf 0 stations of any regional secondary identifier, please, over.
Golf Whiskey 0 Juliet Lima X-ray. Good afternoon, Greg. Name is Andy, RAYNET Pembrokeshire. No traffic today, so in and out please, over.
JLX, G4 and RC. Good afternoon, Andy. Copied you in and out. Thanks for bookending the normal call-ins as usual. And let's take my usual shortcut. Any UK stations who've missed their turn to call in, please call now. G4 and RC, over.
Golf 8 Kilo Lima Charlie. Sorry I'm late on parade.
8 Kilo Lima Charlie, good afternoon Phil, it's alright, you'll get your reward by being last on the list so far, unless... Do we have any international liaison stations on the talk groups, please? That's usually Nord-Samband of Norway, Aran in Ireland, Aries in Slovakia. Any of our international friends with us today? G4NRC, over.
G4NRC, Lima for 6 India. My name is Hans. In and out, but we'll be listening.
6 India Mike, no problem. Good afternoon, Hans. Copied you in and out, but nice to hear you. Okay, final call then. Any stations, UK or international, who've missed their turn to check into the RAYNET-UK activity period, please call now. This is G4NRC, over.
M7LPN, in and out, please.
Lima Papa November. Good afternoon, Mark. Copy to you is in and out. Okay, right. Let's go to the top of the script then. Today's net is being live streamed by Graham, G7NEH, to YouTube today. Past live streams and recordings are available by searching G7NEH, that's Golf 7 November Echo Hotel, on YouTube. Apologies for the absence of a formal net last week. The Zone 10 meeting went to full time, and there was no way Graham and I were getting back in time to run things sensibly, so thanks to Dave, Mike 7 Alpha Victor Oscar, for signalling our absence, but I haven't heard whether anyone filled the time with any ad hoc chat. In the UK, the diary shows a number of groups have been active this weekend on everything from group meetings, event preparation, propagation checks, and runs of both the human and husky kind. The weather should certainly have been favourable for the event, so it's a shame that temperatures are due to fall back to seasonal norms over the coming week. Internationally, Storm Alfred on the east coast of Australia has reportedly taken 330 homes off the electrical grid for a while, along with some widespread flooding. No indications whether our colleagues in WISN, that's the Wireless Institute's Civil Emergency Network, have been activated in response. If they did, then it looks like VHF, UHF and 40 metres would be their go-to bands. In Argentina, though, a storm in the town of Bahia Blanca led to flooding and the loss of 13 lives. The local amateur radio community has responded with a number of repeaters locally in use, along with 7.1 and 14.163 MHz in use for wider area communications. This international news tends to come from Facebook, which is not the most reliable given the algorithm used to promote posts, raising the wider question of what we should use to ensure our public-facing messages get through. On the energy networks, the gas storage tanks are up to 27% full, no doubt helped by the warmer weather this weekend, and the electricity networks aren't showing any significant loss of load probabilities for the coming few days. So let's go around the horn, see what comments we've got from everyone this week, starting with Mike. Golf 8 Echo Echo Yankee G4 and RC, over.
G4NRC from G8 DEY. We're all copied there on the news, Greg. Here in Norfolk, it's a sunny 14.5 Celsius, 1003 millibars, 51% relative humidity, and a mere 7% cloud cover, and a low 7.7 miles per hour from 73 degrees. Not really sure what's the best option for disseminating information. Unfortunately, it seems that radio is about the only thing that seems to work, no matter what, unless you really get caught out. So I haven't got any great suggestions on that. Interesting, I've got a communication from our group's bank. Wonderful. And I've had to fill in what's known as a fat car. It's interesting. Foreign Account Tax Compliance Act. And was it? Common Reporting Standards, yes. They're trying to find out whether I'm a closet American citizen or whether I'm a non-zon. Well, I've sent the response off. We'll see what happens, but it's interesting that banks are starting to get a bit strange these days. From G8 DEY.
8 Echo Yankee G4 NRC returning. Okay, weather report all copied, mostly in the right order. Yes, the question about what's the best way of disseminating information, at one point, and you will remember possibly from Com back in that time, G4 NRC as an 80-metre news was deemed to be not going to carry on for much longer. But moving it to DMR, and slightly differently, here we are many years later. Today being the 5th anniversary of the COVID lockdowns, etc., which is what spurred DMR into greater use here. I'm a little concerned about your approach from the bank. I'm presuming you have verified that with the bank before you actually submitted a whole load of personal data. There's more than a few videos doing the rounds at the moment saying that 2025 is the year you'll definitely get hacked, given the preponderance of artificial intelligence bots now knowing more about you than you do, able to craft some very sneaky emails. So the general thing is don't click on any links the bank sends you unless you confirm it is really the bank. But no doubt I'll get more of that in the next round. So, next to Stephen, Mike 7 Victor Sierra Delta G4 and RC, over.
G4 NRC, this is Mike 7 Victor Sierra Delta. Very good afternoon to all on the net. Had a pretty busy last couple of weekends, so I've had a bit of an absence off the net. So last weekend I was at our Wing annual conference for the Air Cadets, so many different presentations about many different things throughout the day on that Sunday. It was rather interesting to get the view of headquarters with the shake-up of the training as it is. And the weekend before that, I was on a staff silver radio training course. So that covers all the advanced voice procedure required to run nets. And also it will include the Foundation Amateur Radio license for the cadets. It's going to be a pretty labour-intensive job from staff training-wise. 2 weekends. One weekend will be the Amateur Radio License Foundation, and the second weekend will be Advanced Military Voice Procedure. So we shall have to see how that pans out with the staff team that we've got that's trained to a silver level. So that's what I've been doing the last couple of weekends over.
Returning to Mike 7 Victor Sierra Delta. Okay, something that rang bells there was I thought the cadet qualification actually exempted them from doing the foundation license. I thought there was some mutual recognition one way or the other. So you might just cast a bit more light on that on the next round. But yeah, all interesting. Net control is equally interesting. Every service has their own way of doing it, including amateur radio. So some things are translatable, some aren't. But that's usually what we have to beat out on the ground on the day. Right, Graham, G7 and the H, round to you. G4 and RC, over.
G4 NRC, G7 and the H. Good afternoon, Greg. Good afternoon to all on the net. Okay, obviously no net last week, but let me get my phone open. The viewing figures for the week before, bear with me 2 seconds, were 39 views and 6 likes. So thanks to everybody who listens to the net and hits that like button, which is good for the channel. And there we go. Not a lot else to add from this end, Greg. Temperature 17.8 degrees. Humidity is 42%, with a UV index of 1. So there we go. If you can drop us out the next round, but obviously I'll still keep the stream going till the end of the net. G4 NRC, G7 and the H.
G4NRC returning. Okay, Graham, again in reverse order because it's easier. Any UV index that's greater than 0 I think is a good thing, and it's certainly been nice up here in Cheshire this weekend. Warm and blue skies. Just a shame that admin got in the way of doing some radio stuff. 39 views on the week prior to last is just indicative of how this message gets out, because usually I reckon if we have 13 check-ins on the net, that's not too bad, but I can always see from the people who blip up beforehand that we have quite a few more lurkers and listeners in the background seeing what's going on, but we're still only hitting via this means 3-4% of the membership, maybe, if you lump everything together. But it is they was all pass on the news to everybody else. That, I suppose, is what helps. So thanks for streaming the net. Noted you're out on this one, and I shall make sure to repeat the like and subscribe bit at the end. Okay, to Trevor, G4KUJ, with the good news that while looking for something else, I've found my missing garden node. G4KUJ, G4NRC, over.
G4NRC, G4KUJ replying. Yes, good afternoon, Greg and everybody else. As you're aware, I've been having an Arden week at this end. The Microtech app Lite arrived last, what was it, Sunday, I think, from a well-known supplier, and managed to get that fired up okay using the procedure in the Arden web, or on the Arden website, once I found out where to download Tiny PXE software. Thanks to your pointing me in the right direction there. And last time I reported I was having trouble loading the AR300s with the Arden firmware. They wouldn't use the internal reloading facility, but I've managed to get them sorted out by using the U-boot facility on those devices, following the YouTube that GLI have got on the web, and they're all working. So I've got three radios working on 2.4 mesh at the moment. As you're aware, we've not been able to establish the tunnel yet between you and I, certainly from the Microtech. I was hoping Drew might be on today and have some thoughts. The only thought I've got now is, now I've got the AR300 working, is whether I plug the LAN in, the internet into the WAN port on one of those, and we try setting up the client server and the other one, the two legacy servers, to see if that gets round, see if that happens to work. G4NRC, G4KUJ.
G4KUJ, G4NRC returning. Okay, well, it's the AR300 I have found from where it was buried on the desk, and I am now wondering, do I be brave and follow the automatic update procedure which failed for you, just to see if I get any luckier, or do I go straight to the hard way? Jury's still out, because if I do nothing to either of them, I can try tunneling into my own mesh from the outside mobile phone network with a bit of deviousness, just to confirm that tunnels will work. I seem to recall your AR300 was your original tunneling device, and yet your email, your IP addresses don't seem to have changed much, so I am wondering whether there's something wrong with the setup on the Microtic for the tunnel, since I can still get out to the rest of the world through NetNet up in the northeast and elsewhere. So, okay, we shall continue to play. I've rebooted a router here, and I've now got myself in a situation where I can't look at what's going on without being an Arden directly. So more switching on and off required in true IT help desk style. Okay, think about what about the next round, but let's go to Phil, G4HUF, G4 and RC, over.
This is G4HUF. Good afternoon, all on the net. Yeah. Right, first things first. Wise move to contact Dave and ask him to make announcements, because at one stage it was looking very marginal, or unlikely that I was likely to make it back home in time to make any announcements as you originally suggested, Greg, before I left the meeting on last Sunday. It literally was a case of I walked into the shack, turned the radio on to hear him reporting the non-event, because I was making good time, but hit the M16 ground to a halt, and it was really curious in the respect that at least two pumps, probably from Hayward Station, came flying past me on the M16, generating tremendous amounts of dust on the hard shoulder, along with two motorway patrol vehicles on blue lights as well. But got round to where the M62 turns off, and lo and behold, traffic returned to normal, speed returned to normal, and everything was fine. No indication of any problems whatsoever. So wise move on your part to get Dave involved last Sunday. And the one thing I must do about that is to sort out a little report for my group as to what went on. So that's to be done. In the meantime, this week, well, the first thing I ended up doing was clearing my desk, because there seemed to be a hell of a lot of leads lying all over it from where I was trying to program radios last week, or the week before last, and failed. And of course, with computer leads, dedicated patch leads and everything else, it took me a little while to sort out the desk. But I actually did something sensible as a follow-up to my problems from last weekend, and that's to start drafting crib sheets, which need to be printed out and laminated and kept with the radios to manually install memory channels on said radios if I have a similar problem in the future. So with that, hopefully everybody's not fallen asleep listening to my voice droning on. I shall pass it back. This is G4HUF.
HUF, G4 and RC returning. Okay, yes, your motorway journey is a bit like ours. It looked busy, but we couldn't really figure out why. It just got more entertaining on the final approach on the M56, where everybody wanted to get back into Wales rather than the usual trying to get out of it on a Sunday afternoon. For the amusement of the class who weren't at the Zone 10 meeting last week, the topic we were covering was what should be a standard fit in an emergency centre, and since we don't have standard fits in emergency centres anymore because they're all very flexible and not owned, what do we actually carry with us? So it was a sort of a hybrid, what should be in a go bag, but a go bag with the intent of taking it into an emergency centre. And short form manuals of how to do some of the basics on reprogramming a radio was absolutely part of that. So I'm sure it would have had an interest from a wider audience as well, but the trouble with zone meetings, and it'll be interesting to see in the next round what people think, is that they don't really lend themselves to being recorded. And even if we did record them, where could we put them safely? Because some of the content wouldn't necessarily throw up on YouTube. So, okay, Phil, I'm glad you made it back in time, and hopefully back in time for Sunday dinner, even if you were touch and go for the net. We've got 1, 2, 3 left, and at number 3 is Ian. Golf 3, Zulu Hotel X-Ray, G4 and RC, over.
G4 NRC in the net, good afternoon. Yes, you've just driven everything I was going to say out of my mind. While I have it on my screen to say later, I was talking to G4 EKM, Echo Kilo Mike, who's currently in the Philippines, and he asked to be remembered, particularly to you, Greg, and anybody else who knows him. He's from Sunderland originally. And I think I'd better leave it there and until you come round to the second pass. I'll probably remember what it was I was going to say. From G3ZHX.
G3ZHX was smiling at G4 and RC. Apologies, Ian. With some people, I do the let's head some things up before I hand it over, and then with others, it's yeah, for the next time around, just think about this. I have to change what I do so I don't trash your memory with what's coming up. Anyway, acknowledged on Steve, G4 EKM. He is the one of the minds behind NetNet, the Northeast Data Network, which is the Arden network that a lot of us are homing back to achieve connectivity. And if it's not back to him via a tunnel, then it's down to Drew. So we have got more and more Arden puddles going up, and Steve is still able to see what's going on virtue of the servers got back in the UK. Okay, thanks Ian. And Alan, Mike 0 Juliet Sierra Alpha, G4 and RC, over.
Yeah, good afternoon Greg, good afternoon everybody. Beautiful sunny day here in Suffolk. As Mike alluded to up in Norfolk, out on a duty today with a small market 20 miles? Half marathon, still market half marathon. All well and good, everything went fine, no problems whatsoever. And they gave me a free water bottle for helping, so that's even better still. Other than that, nothing else to add really today. So I'll leave it at that, and I'll drop over here and listen to the end. Back to you.
Zero Juliet Sierra Alpha, G4 and RC. Yeah, it feels like a long time since we got any freebies off our marathon organisers, but they're actually on my hit list. Today was the Chester 10k race, which we've never been involved with because it never gets far enough out of Chester to actually have any comms problems, unlike the half and full marathons, which seem to be a bit of a tour of mobile phone black spots. The 10k stays in reasonably civilised territory, but again, they will have had good weather, hopefully not too good for those who were expecting a cool spring run rather than 17 degrees, as Graham said earlier. Anyway, glad your event went well, and last on this turn, it's Phil, Golf 8 Kilo Lima Charlie, G4 and RC, over.
Yes, G4 LRC from G8 KLC. So I've been first and now I'm last. Excellent. Covering all the bases. Yeah, apologies for being late. I was caught up in doing something else and suddenly realised the time had clicked over. Right, points of interest perhaps. The bank query. We were on the receiving end of one of those a number of years ago. It was part of getting to know your customers drive that the bank was having. Didn't want to do that much online, which was always good, because I get very tongue-tied online for some reason. I don't seem to be able to type, and I can't remember any numbers. It's a real shame. But we got through that without too much difficulty. But it's always worth checking, as you say, with the amount of AIs around. I'm beginning to take the stance that if I'm not standing next to the guy and watching his lips move, he didn't say it. Regardless of how it's been reported. And some of the things that are being reported just beg a belief. But there you go. there was something else and it's gone. Damn. Never mind. It will come back to me in a moment, I feel sure. I wonder whether anybody else is having difficulty with the national website. Logged in, no trouble. All seems to be working. Get to the membership area where I ideally needed the complete list of a group. Asked it to email it to me. It appeared to do everything correctly. Press the email button and he says, yes, we've done that. Thank you very much. And nothing happened. From then on, no emails at all. So hopefully somebody will pick that up and see what's afoot. It's just another outstanding action that I've generated and had no response so far. But maybe there'll be a glitch in somebody's time and they can just spend a few minutes perhaps looking at it or passing it on. And I still can't think what the other thing was. Oh yes, I remember. Standard comms rooms. Yes, funny enough, I found a document a couple of weeks ago entitled that. It was about 4 pages of what we'd expect to go into a standard comms room, a whole list of equipment and so on and so forth. Even pricing of the day. So that was interesting. Over here in Lincolnshire, we have no permanently installed equipment, but we have plastic tubs full of equipment.
G8KLC, G4NRC, sounds like you're timed out.
That's what I thought. My apologies. I've never done that before, not even on a repeater. Yeah, all I was going to say was in Lincolnshire we have hot boxes in the county establishments. And funnily enough, last time we went to grab the hot box to get a radio out, we needed to reprogram it and the manual had disappeared. So, yeah, cheat sheets on how to do some of the simple stuff is an absolute definite. Not necessarily in go bags, but you know, in your back pocket if you could. It's embarrassing when some of the new rigs you just can't program to save your life. Anyway, that's it. G4NRC, G8KLC.
G8KLC, G4NRC returning. Okay. Well, that'll make everybody feel good if manuals go. Usually it's the other way around, that the gear goes and the manual's all that's left behind. Interesting on the 4-page document, if you ever get a chance to scan that and send it through, I've been collecting stuff right back to 1950s civil defence days to see what's changed and what hasn't, and more to the point what we've forgotten to do, which is probably more useful. With regard to the national website not emailing you a membership list, 2 things. One, have you emailed that new glitch to the help desk? I know what you're going to say, but just have you emailed it to them? And secondly, I am aware that there is some twisted thing going on between the website's mail server and the Office 365 mail server, where they don't always recognise each other, so I don't tend to see temporary repeater or event reports now, unless a minor miracle occurs, because one server throws an error up, and that was being revealed to me last month while I was doing the reissue of the temporary repeater call signs. But people were trying to submit reports and getting some very odd messages back. But for you not to have got an error message is a new twist. I was aware of that one going forward. Right, so with that, you'll learn. Echo Yankee, G4 and RC, over.
G4 NRC from G8EY. Yeah, you dropped off, certainly coming my way after your chat with KLC. But yes, okay. Well, I must admit, I'm always wary of things that appear that say you've got to do this, that and the other. But on the grounds that it came as an A5 envelope that was about half an inch thick, with the standard issue bank's sort of method of paperwork through plastic window. There were 17 pages of it, including 2 covering, 2 FAQs, and a statement that I had 60 days to reply, or they may have to send my UK tax details to the international tax details. So yeah, it was definitely a genuine one from the bank. And nothing straightforward. It took them about 2 hours to fill it in anyway, without giving them much in the way of information at all. Recording meetings is always a problem. I know in my group they all say, oh, we want face-to-face meetings, but when you're running the meeting and taking the minutes, or trying to, because nobody else wants to take the minutes, how do you record them? I've tried it on audio recorders, I've tried it on mobile phones, I've set up cameras, but at the end of the day you end up with a load of people talking, but you can't really work out who's saying what. So yeah, no answer to that. We've got an event coming up, whoa, amazing, in July. It's a 5-mile course in Great Yarmouth with a control halfway along. And it's basically 2.5 miles by 100 yards wide course, so it shouldn't be too onerous. Yep, I had a problem with 2-factor authentication as well on Office 365, where my normal mobile phone message happened, but it didn't seem to satisfy the system. Then I discovered that in fact Office 365 is about to become 365 Copilot. What on earth that is, I'm not entirely sure, but I'm sure I shall find out eventually. From G8EY.
Wolf 8 Echo Yankee, G4 and RC. Aha, see, this is what predisposition does when you say the bank get in touch. At the moment it usually feels like that's an email. Real post from the bank disappeared for some of us quite a long time ago. And it did remind me, I think it's Denmark, which is stopping their normal postal deliveries, so everything will be done electronically, making you more of a target. Yeah, understood on the hybrid meetings, or even recording them, making it extra work. Do have that feeling in a few things, mostly at work, where the room will break into multiple conversations, and I feel sorry for the people who are remotely accessing, trying to decode this babble. So
You dropped out again, Greg.
G4 and RC, anybody want to say when I stopped being heard, over? That was just distortion, Trevor, over. G4 and RC, no it wasn't, so I'll just skip that and just say Office 365 is being rebranded, because that's where I think I left it. The problem was being WhatsApped on another channel, so it was distracted from seeing the light disappear off screen. If I've forgotten anything, then EUI will get a third turn. Stephen, Mike 7 Victor Sierra Delta, G4 and RC, over.
G4 NRC, this is Mike 7 Victor Sierra Delta. Yes, with the cadet.
To Sierra Delta, you've now dropped out, over. G4 and RC, Mike 7 Victor Sierra Delta, you're receiving, over. Nothing heard from Victor Sierra Delta after his initial call sign. Looks like we're having a bit of a server flap. G4KUJ, G4 and RC, over. G4KUJ, that was distortion with digital burst at the end. G4HUF, how copy? G4 and RC, over.
This is G4HUF. You're fine, Greg. The others look as though they've got a common denominator with a problem at their end, over.
Right. Are you receiving me? Okay.
G4HUF acknowledged. G4KUJ, I got a you received me, Greg, and then a digital burst as it crashes out. It's not common to a particular network, because I know VSD is coming in via a tortuous route, probably over Pheonix and Brandmeister before it gets to the server. But Trevor's very much within the server. So I'm building up a list of people who haven't been heard from to try again, and I'll go back to the top of that list and try for Stephen again. Mike 7 Victor Sierra Delta, G4 and RC, over.
G4 and RC, Mike Victor Sierra Delta, how...
Sierra Delta, G4 and RC, about 5 syllables, and then digital breakup, over. G4 and RC, nothing further heard from Victor Sierra Delta. G4KUJ, just in case there's a server flap, see if it's coming back to life by itself. G4KUJ, G4 and RC, over.
G4 NRC, G4KUJ. Replying. Okay, Greg, that should be okay. I can see myself coming on the dashboard. Yes, when you handed it over to me for the first time, I was transmitting and looking at the dashboard, and all of a sudden I saw 4HUF come up over the top of me, which and I disappeared, which was very strange. Yeah, I think we need a telephone call to try and iron out the Arden issues. But all the IP addresses on the devices I'm now running are different from the ones I had before. The only thing that is the same is that the my BT router has picked up the 8-hap Lite with the same IP address as it did with the original GLI router. But apart from that, everything is different. So back to you. Thanks for running the net. And perhaps we can have a chat on the phone sometime during the week if you're available. From G4KUJ.
Okay, UJ, G4 and RC. Okay, that's strange. I wouldn't have thought the router would have assigned the same address. I'll delete something of the same. G4 and RC, spotted myself drop out that time. Yeah, I wouldn't have thought the router would have given the same address out. So yes, phone call obviously necessary. We'll have to try and find some time this week in the midst of something else. But I will try doing my own tunnel tests first, just to be sure of what's going on. Right, I'm aware I need to go back to VSD for one more try, but G4HUF, your Sunday dinner must be beckoning. G4HUF, G4 and RC, over.
This is G4HUF. Not quite an issue at the moment, Greg. 1800 down in Bowden this evening, so it's not too bad. What's more important is my daily communication with my dear sister, which is approaching, but not a problem. I think we covered everything on the last round. The only other thing I was going to mention was that we might hear another Mike 7 come up, because on the dashboard last week I spotted a familiar call sign who we've not worked on DMR yet, but it obviously made it into the channel about 10-15 minutes before the net time. That's Mike 7, Mike Foxtrot Papa. So that'll lower the time of the net even further with another Dane Valley member on the air. With that, I shall say 73s to everybody on the net, and shut up, and let's see if you can make it round everybody else. This is G4HUF.
For HUF, G4 and RC returning. Okay, no problem. Call sign noted, but I'll probably need a refresher on the day when he does call in. I do tend to take it as they come. The log sheet is always clear. There's no premeditated stuff other than the news items. So new stations coming on will be greeted equally. Right, aware he's on a public repeater. Final chance for Mike 7 Victor Sierra Delta, G4 and RC, over. For an RC, nothing heard. Suspect he's lost the repeater, and or we've broken the bridge to Brandmeister. Either of which is a possibility. Okay, 7-3's Phil, and we go to Ian. Golf 3 Zulu Hotel X-Ray, G4 and RC, over.
G4 NRC, I'll try and keep this brief. Your description of G4 EKM makes me think he's the northern equivalent of RM0 GUI, who I have just involved in this problem that we're having now. And as far as equipment for call centres, if you're going to be programming radios, that probably means you need to carry a computer. If not now, but then for radios in the future, because they seem to rely on computer connections more and more. And with that, I'll say thanks for running the net, and apologies for being woolly last time round. I was doing too many things at once. From G3ZHX73.
G3 ZHX, G4 and RC, just noting everybody in communicating.
You dropped out again, Greg, after about 5 seconds.
G4 and RC, okay, well it was a no problems to Ian, and commenting about how radios shouldn't need a computer to get some functions done, and that we have the issue where somebody gets given a new Chinese radio with a well done, you've won a radio, and it's a bit of a learning cliff to go up to actually do the programming. So if you're giving anybody a radio as a gift, at least make sure it's slightly programmed beforehand. Right, Ian also suggested he'd got a GUI interested in the current server dips, so I'm not sure quite how he's done that, but we'll see if anything changes. But for the moment, it is what it is. G8KLC, I was passing it to you. G4 and RC, over.
Yeah, G4 NRC, G8 KLC. Yeah, okay. In answer to your first question, no, I didn't waste my time. Obviously, as you were expecting. And there was another question, I can't remember what it was now. I think I know. Yeah, the document I found, I've emailed you. Not awfully interesting. It wasn't quite the one I thought it was. But I'll see if I can find the one that I thought it was somewhere else. And do you already have a copy of the rather nice document that Phil Hills did, 7JRV, back in July 22? That was about 6 sheets of interesting reading and photographs. If not, I can send that one to you as well.
KLC, G4, NRC, returning. Okay, no, I don't have a copy of that Phil Hills document, and your other one has just landed with me. So I'll have a look at that. But yeah, all information duly given. And yes, I will replicate your fault so I can report it for you. G8KLC, G4 NRC, over.
Great. Yes, all I'm going to say on that. G8KLC.
No problem. I did wonder when I got the email this morning from you what had been done. Okay, one last chance to see if we've got Brandmeister back. A correction, Mike 7 Victor Sierra Delta, G4 NRC, over.
G4 NRC, this is Mike 7 Victor Sierra Delta. Looks like it's working now. Had a bit of a drop out there. I think there's something on this repeater that if a time slot is being used by another talk group, it just plateaus this one out. I think that's a problem with this repeater. But if one time slot's being used on one talk group, the other talk group on the same time slot gets plateaued. So, but it looks like it's clear now anyway. Yeah, the cadet radio training at silver level, there's basically, they've got to do the military voice procedure, and then the second part of it is 3 options they can do. They can do data communications, they can do a cyber module, which is messing about with networking and computers, and the third module is the Foundation Amateur Radio License. We've decided to opt for the third module, as the 2 of us are licensed amateur radio operators on the Wing Radio training team, so that is the route that we're going to go now. We do have our own Foundation training manual that's been ratified by the RSGB. However, I was reading it the other day, and it definitely does need updating because it's still for the old license conditions, so it could do with having a rewrite over.
Mike 7 Victor Sierra Delta, G4 RC, returning. Yes, on public repeaters there is that game. If a time slot gets left vacant for too long, then another more static talk group can take it over, because you'll be raising this one as a bit of an optional temporary one. So that's when we kept calling back, because it would depend on you also getting a clear slot to try waking it up. Last I understood, though I've got to admit, didn't look, when the new license terms came out last in February 24, the idea was that the syllabi would be updated by autumn, and then the books would have to follow that. So believe and suspect that new books are out and available. I'm just not in the right meetings to try and figure out the when of when that happens. Okay, well, glad we got you back. I shall punt you some emails over the next week or so, as I find time in between doing everything else with regard to procedures, just for your amusement only. So, with that, slightly longer than usual net, given the technical issues, we'll bring it to a close. So thanks everybody for taking time out of the schedules to participate in this afternoon's net. Be careful, have a good week, and until next Sunday afternoon at 1600 hours local time, I'll close the RAYNET-UK weekly activity net and return talk groups 23531 on Pheonix and Brandmeister, and 50 23531 on RAYNET-UK server, back to being an open net rather than a directed net. If you're watching the time-shifted version of this on YouTube, then please don't forget to hit Graham's like and subscribe buttons, so we know that this is actually getting used and viewed. 730 all, this is G4 NRC now closing, and reverting to my normal call sign of Golf 0, Delta Uniform Bravo. Bye bye.